The Sports Source is brought to you by Fast Frame. Turn your memorabilia into a work of art.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source. Happy to have you joining us today. We got plenty of football. The drumbeat continues that the passing game is not making progress. We'll discuss that again. We also have some interesting numbers on that, which will illuminate some issues for the pass game at Tennessee, or the throw game, if you will. And then there's a lot of basketball to discuss. Who expected a lot of this stuff to come down this week, but we'll cover it all. And on the plus side, first time in weeks, there's no lawsuit to update, no news on the lawsuit front. As Josh pointed out before we got into this, the hour isn't over yet. But for now, we'll plan no lawsuit discussion today. Let's get into it. First segment of our show brought to you by Tennova Healthcare. And when it comes to health-based services in East Tennessee and across the state, really, no one provides more than Tennova. Orthopedic care, heart care, robot-assisted surgery, sleep centers, labor and delivery services. Visit Tennova.com. You see it there on your screen. Visit Tennova.com to learn more about the folks I trust when I have needed health care. Tennova Healthcare. All right, and here are the guys I trust when I need sports care. We have Josh Ward from Sports Radio WNML. We have from the Knoxville News Sentinel, Mike Strange. We have from Sports Radio WNML, Vince Farrar. And we have a longtime sports writer and media persona, Chuck Cavallari.
Best intros ever.
Thank you, guys. Glad. It's the one time I actually got everybody's names right, where you worked. All right. Butch Jones wasn't happy with the throw game yesterday. Made it clear after practice that all aspects need to be improved. It's not just Josh Dobbs. Dobbs and Dormady both threw interceptions. He mentioned pass protection breakdowns, which a little bit of a concern. He mentioned dropped passes. We've seen some of the receivers in the past that come in with glowing accolades, and then they don't live up to snuff. So you're seeing all of this. This whole spring has been built on improving that pass game. You're 3 weeks into it. You've got about a week left, and you're not there yet. We've talked about it before, but is it becoming a bigger issue now that you're hearing it's not just Dobbs with the deep ball, it's more and more things, it's the whole package that Butch Jones is upset with? Thoughts or no?
Well, I think there's a number of different things that are in play here. One is the quarterbacks aren't live, especially the first and second team guys. So where did Josh Dobbs do a lot of his work last year? It was in making plays with his feet. Mm-hmm. And he's not able to do that. He's not able to break tackles like you normally would. That's part of it. Another is injuries. Cody Blank was running with the first team at wide receiver yesterday. We didn't see Jennings. They've had a lot of nicks, and a lot of guys have been injured there. So I think there's a number of things in place. And then you're still missing a couple of starting offensive linemen in Chance Hall and Ja'Shawn Robertson. So there's a lot of things in place.
Got Kendrick back.
Yeah.
Thoughts, guys? Is this any more of a concern the deeper you get into spring or no?
I think it's a concern, but I think that's just because there's probably just a limit to what they'll be able to do, I think, in the passing game. I think they can be better than they were a year ago, and if they stay healthy at wide receiver, that would certainly help. But I think running the football is the most important thing for Tennessee's offense.
Yes, but another thing about the pass game is the pass protection. If you are starting a redshirt freshman at left tackle, that's a concern. I don't care how good he is. That's a concern because the caliber of pass rushers you're going to face in the course of an SEC season, he's going to have to take some lumps, and when he takes some lumps, you know, your quarterback takes some lumps.
Not to mention the fact that right now, he's out there against a depleted Tennessee defensive line. He's not seeing the full arsenal that Tennessee has to throw at them. So in terms of practice isn't like a game, but it's not even up to practice snuff when you consider who's out there on the rotation. Vince? Or Chuck, I'll get to you. Vince was giving me a look.
Josh Dobbs has something to do with this too. We're not making excuses for Josh Dobbs and pointing out everyone else. But
we bring up Josh Dobbs every week. I'm just saying this is an instance where it looks like there's other people involved as well.
Yeah, I think he's improved his footwork, but he still has a ways to go. He's still upright and off balance a little bit. He's improved his footwork, but he still has to improve in that area.
Okay, Mr. Cavalaris.
I think the concern to me is there's across-the-board issues. that you're looking at here. I mean, you're talking about the Kamara's not being able to pass Brock as well as he needs to. You're talking about receivers dropping balls, breakdowns in the offensive line. And what have we talked about several times about what is the number one thing Tennessee needs to improve to take the next step? The passing game. And if you're still not getting it right or still struggling, it just shows how far you got to go.
When it's been an emphasis.
Yes.
Vince made a good point that they're not live. Dobbs did make a lot of plays, kept plays alive. Guys would get open. You make some plays downfield. That's not going to be a part of the situation right now. On the other hand, you're not live, so you're not getting to work on that. So you could look at it and say, because you've got so many guys out and you're not really able to do a lot of live work, it could hurt you because in terms of your practice, you're not getting the practice like it would be in a game situation.
I see what you mean, but I actually think it's a good thing that Dobbs is being forced to work from the pocket. He has to get better in that area. Butch Jones talked about yesterday how they want to complete a high percentage and throw more from the pocket on first down. Well, how do you do it? You work on it. If I'm in the spring game, I'm throwing the ball 80% of the time. You know what you can do with your running backs. You take it easy on Kamara and Hurt anyway. Throw the football and work on it.
And take away the crutch of letting him run the ball and make plays with his legs.
Right.
Not a bad idea.
John, the thing we may be missing here, even with all these defensive players hurt, maybe this is going to be the best defense Tennessee's had since 1939 when they shut out every opponent.
Well, I think there are a lot of people that do think it may be one of your best in a while, at least. But yeah, I think the odds of 1939. Chuck, what are the odds of that? Let's
have the glass half full.
Yeah. Mentioned first downs. Butch Jones said this yesterday. He wants to see more passing on 1st and 10. He wants a higher completion percentage. We'll get into both of those. We've gone back through the numbers. Going to surprise you. Who was the last Tennessee quarterback? Who was the quarterback at Tennessee the last time the Vols completed 65% of their passes, which is the goal that Butch Jones has set? We'll answer that later in the show. And first of all, no, it's not who you think. Last thing, when you look at the fact that, and I mentioned this for a hair last week, but it's becoming a bigger deal for me the further we get into it. I didn't expect there to be a night and day difference. I didn't think they would flip a switch and Josh Dobbs would become a big passing quarterback. We've showed earlier with some of our numbers a couple of weeks ago that Tennessee can win the East with the passing game they had last year. There have been SEC division champs over the last 8 years who've had that kind of a passing game. So it is possible. But the fact that this has been the greatest need, this has been what you focused on. Each week we talk about, okay, well, they didn't do it this week. Now you get Butch Jones, he's got his back up against the end of the spring, and he's coming out and sounding frustrated. To me, I'm not saying panic. It's spring ball. And there are a lot of factors, people out, that kind of stuff. But to me, the fact that it continues, I expected at least some coach speak. We saw some improvement out there. Not getting a lot of that. And to me, that's a bit of a concern because usually coaches will lie. Truly. They like things. They see things on tape that you don't see, those kinds of things. I'm not hearing a lot of that. Thoughts? Am I the only one that seems to be a little more worried by that?
Well, there's a lot of hype that's surrounding this Tennessee football team, right? And it's hype without Tennessee having accomplished a lot to this point. So, part of it has to be, hey guys, just because people are saying you're going to do a lot, you haven't actually done any of that yet. And there is still a lot to work on. Like you think about the offensive line concerns that might still be there. Part of that can go with the passing game. Part of it goes with protection. Protection of the football. Might have gotten lucky at times last year, taking care of the football in both the passing game and Josh Dobbs has had issues with fumbles.
Recovering your own fumbles.
If teams are going to try to make up a difference because Tennessee is more talented, it will be in the turnover game. The offensive line will play a role in that.
And I think some of the praise we've heard was for Preston Williams, correct?
One guy.
Well,
and some Juwan Jennings earlier.
Yeah, but somebody had to be throwing him the ball. So at least you were doing something good then.
But most of the praise was he was getting open.
Right.
And they weren't getting him the ball.
Right. So,
again, it may just be Preston Williams. All right. Plenty of time for them to turn things around. It's just spring, but you keep talking about it. The coaches keep talking about it. That would be a concern for moi. All right. And I don't often say moi. When we come back, didn't expect to be talking about Donnie Tyndall today, but Mark Pancratz joins us to talk about just a draconian penalty dropped on former Tennessee basketball coach Donnie Tyndall. We'll discuss. Come on back on the Sports Source.